Hello, everyone. Eilers-Heffner, Sapphire Ambassador. I'm super excited to share with you. And when I knew I had call coming up, I'm like, okay, what is it that I need to talk about? And since we just finished officially for all of my kids our cross country season on Saturday, I'm like, we need to talk about mental toughness because I feel that we can always work in this area. Every single person, no matter where we're at. And my daughter, who had all of my kids, had amazing cross country seasons. My daughter, of course, is my high schooler. She took off over 2 minutes off of her time this season from last year. So huge improvements. And I still am like, I know you have more in you. I know that there's more. And she even recognized that, like, oh, I really wanted to have gone faster on Saturday. I really wanted to, improve even more. And so that is, I think, the start of developing even more mental toughness because it's that I'm gonna keep pushing myself, right? Um, and the other thing that had come to mind is that Iron Cowboy James Lawrence spoke to us at convention. And, not all of us are in a position to go do an Ironman, let alone an Ironman every single day for 100 days, 101 days in a row. Okay. So my friend did a marathon. My friend from the gym did a marathon, and she's like, yeah, I take 2 weeks off of running from doing a marathon, which is amazing. Like, hello, like such a huge accomplishment. And here we have James Lawrence, who did 101 Ironman triathlons consecutively, right? Like mind blowing. And when I heard him speak at convention, I'm like, thought I had some mental toughness, but he puts me absolutely to shame. And so, how can those of us that have experience of developing that develop it further and deeper? And how can we help other people that maybe haven't had those opportunities? So that's what I really wanted to touch on. So let's talk about what this even is. What is mental toughness? And it really defines the way that we handle challenges, stress, and pressure, no matter the circumstance, and to be strong in the face of adversity and to have that resilience to just push through anyway. So it's knowing that something is going to be hard and saying, I'm going to do that anyway. I'm a physical therapist by trade. I did all of my undergrad work and my graduate school work in total in 5.5 years. Now, pretty amazing, because when I think back at what I did, I'm like, huh, no wonder I'm so traumatized from PT school. And if my friends that are PTs on here know what I'm talking about, but also when I was like, let me go do this, let me go and let's go to college, let me work on these prerequisites, let me work on these requirements to apply to this grad program, I didn't really think of it as being tough. But looking back, I realized how tough it was. And I realized that there were only a very few moments where I really thought, I can't do this. And one of those Jackie witnessed, and I cried into my soup, walking around preparing for my next exams for like 4 hours. And Jackie, I had other friends with me, and Jackie was the one that was like, you're okay. It's all gonna be okay. And I stopped crying. So like, Jackie, I love you. Um, and so there were only a very few moments. Now, if I was like, okay, I'm going to go to PT school, I'm going to do all this work in 5.5 years, now I'd be like, I'm going to have to develop some mental toughness to do that, right? It's like kind of ignorance is bliss at sometimes. But the point of that is that there was never this absolute moment or absolute time where I'm like, I can't do this. Oh no. I don't want a whiteboard experience. Is somebody doing something to my Zoom over here, guys? Because I didn't touch anything. There. Maybe I did touch something. The space bar. Is it better? Okay. Mental toughness. Here we go. Anyway, the point was is that there were only moments where I'm like, I can't do this. And then either Jackie intervened or I got my mind right. And I'm like, okay, yes, I can. And a lot of it comes down to what can I do right now to change this situation? And that is something that I do now when I'm stressed. That's something you all can do. That's what we can do when we're like, okay, I have 5 minutes to do IPA right now. What can I do in that 5 minutes, right? What is it that I can do quickly? What can I do right now? And so changing that mindset to focusing on what we can do versus I can't do this and getting overwhelmed is also super huge. So, mental toughness is that mental strength that can support us when we're dealing with stressful job situations, a tricky personal relationship, the ups and downs of normal life. And, it's developing in this business that we have this, okay, these 3 people messaged me and they want to get started and I'm so excited. And then you don't hear from them. And we can dwell on that and be super frustrated or go, oh, I can't do this business. I'm terrible at this. Or we can move forward and find another 3 people. And that's really what we want to do, is just know that there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be definitely exciting times. There's going to be times where we're doing all the work and putting all this effort in, and it doesn't necessarily feel like we're getting the result that we want or that we think we deserve. And that can come with re-examining really what we have put in terms of effort, and also just trusting the process. Last month I had 8 joins and I had people messaging me like, what did you do differently? And I'm like, nothing. I didn't do anything differently. I stayed doing the reaching out. I stayed with trying to have good posts happening on my social media. I reached out. I was just consistent, and it just was that time for a lot of people to get started. The detox challenge, people were excited about that. What my first join last month, I was like, oh, by the way, you're getting a free bag of lean that's going to come right with your order. I didn't even recruit for the lean. It was like the first day of the month. I'm like, okay, yeah, here you go. Like, let's sign up. Not totally absorbing what that incentive was, right? And so I'm like, oh, by the way, so we don't need incentives to recruit. I recruited several people for the detox challenge and people after the deadline was over for that, right? So it doesn't come down to any one person joining our business to be successful. It doesn't come down to any one incentive. It comes down to being consistent. So the things that we want to be aware of with mental toughness are being resilient. So bouncing back from those setbacks, failures, or what we perceive as failure, because a lot of times we think, I failed, I didn't get any joins. Well, no, did you do all your IPA? Well, not really. Okay, well, then that's a good reflection. So you can change that activity. Or maybe you did do all of your IPA really well, but it just wasn't the right time for people. And then that fruit is still going to come to harvest. Okay. And then disappointments. I think that more often than not, we have disappointments in our businesses, disappointments in life, than we do an actual setback. Like, I had this idea, I had this excitement for something and it didn't happen. And now I'm disappointed. And so that resilience is just going, okay, that's okay. We'll get this opportunity in the future. We'll get to try again next week. We'll try again tomorrow, to make that happen. Confidence is a realistic and positive view of your abilities, and it's a belief that you can meet the challenges that come your way. A stable trust in your own capabilities and judgment. And I think that one of the things that helps to develop this in this business in particular is just getting feedback from your upline and saying, hey, this is a message I was going to send. What do you think? Or, hey, this is the conversation I'm having. Can you help me know what to say next? Getting on our book clubs and our calls where we talk about all of this is huge in that. And then also, as you do those practices and get help, then it becomes more second nature, and then you can trust more of what it is that you're saying, right? You can trust yourself. So that is huge. It's like, I'm a physical therapist, so there's a lot of areas of physical therapy that I very much trust my judgment and my capability. But if you put me in like wound care right now in physical therapy, I would definitely not have a lot of confidence in that. That's not where my experience lies. But it doesn't mean that it's outside of my scope of practice, and it doesn't mean I can't learn it. It means I have to get a mentor and get help and have practice and learn a little bit and maybe read some books again or take a course or something, right? I can still develop confidence in that. And exactly the same with this. Boundary setting. Okay. I need to work on these, but recognizing the first part of boundary setting is recognizing what is best for your well-being and then knowing when to say no. So I think this comes down to a lot of the noise we have in our lives, you know, because we're talking specifically about this business and you can apply a lot of these principles anywhere. But when we know that what is best for our well-being and our stress level is to go do our IPA and not sit there and watch the movie with our family, right? Like, do what is best. Set the boundary. I need a half an hour. This movie is 2 hours long. So I'll miss the first half, like the first 30 minutes, or I'll take a break in the middle, whatever. But setting that boundary and moving forward. And definitely thinking about what is best for our well-being overall. So sleep, nutrition, all of that, knowing what's best, recognizing it, and not ignoring what our body is telling us that it needs. Adaptability is being open to change and new ideas and able to adjust our approach. And this is especially important when circumstances shift unexpectedly. So I think the biggest thing in this business is when Plexus is like, surprise, we have a flash sale on Friday. You need to figure out how you're going to message people and let them know that this is happening, right? It's that quick, like, adaptability. Okay, I had this plan for this being my IPA for today, but Plexus announced this, so I need to spend this 30 minutes differently today because I want to leverage what they're offering quickly. And this is going to happen in every area of our life anyway. And so just knowing to expect the unexpected and to be willing to shift and switch gears, that pivot. Self-awareness, as I throw stuff around. This is the only one I didn't get written down properly. Being self-aware and understanding your strengths and your weaknesses and your emotions and your thoughts. And I think that allows us to navigate with a clear mind, right? And then aligning with our values and our goals, aligning those decisions with our values and goals. So the strengths and weaknesses, I would say to do you can buy the vision driven leader. That's wrong. Hold on. This, I'll have to put it in the comments. The strength finders, but there's a specific for leaders, strength finders, and it's for leaders. And you can get that book and you can take the strength finder quiz. Okay. And then you can identify your strengths, which I think is actually really empowering because, okay, one of my strengths is communication. And so when I get in a situation where it may be some conflict, potential conflict, I can remind myself, okay, Elizabeth, you're a good communicator. So be confident in what it is that you're saying. It's one of your top 5 strengths, like reminding myself of that, right? And then moving forward into those situations. And the other thing to keep in mind is that we want to spend our time and our strengths 80% of the time. We aren't going to go, okay, these are my strengths. So all these other things I need to work on, I need to work on, I need to work on. That's actually very false. We should be working on our strengths. And then, yes, we're going to slowly develop these other things, or we're working as a team in this business and in a marriage relationship, work relationships, things like that. So you do usually have a team and there's usually someone that's stronger where you're not. And so you divvy up the work that way too, right? Okay, the benefits of being mentally tough: increasing our motivation, being better with stress management, again, being more adaptable and versatile, having quicker decision-making abilities and discretion, and then just having high fortitude in challenging situations, and then enhancing performance and having a positive impact on relationships in general. So this is huge. And one of the things that I was reading was saying you can wait to have increased mental toughness because life is full of ups and downs. There's always going to be things happening. So people do naturally develop mental toughness, or you can actually work on developing your mental toughness and kind of fast forward that train, right? Fast forward that track so that you're ahead of the game. And they're really things that we talk about a lot of the time, and then I have some additional stuff to add, but practicing mindfulness, being present and fully engaged in what you're doing, right? Like, okay, this is my business hour. This is what I'm doing. This is my family time. This is what I'm doing. And keeping some separation there so that you can be focused on your family and you can be focused on your business. Self-compassion. I had a friend at the gym tell me one weekend, it was a Monday. She's like, "How was your weekend?" I'm like, "It was good. How was yours?" She's like, "Good." I'm like, "What did you do?" She's like, "I did this and I did this and I did that." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so great. I'm so happy for you." She goes, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I didn't do as much as I wanted to. I sat on the couch too." And she was like, "Stop being so hard on yourself." Like, I'm sure you accomplished a lot of things. Like, I saw your Facebook. You still accomplished a lot of things. Stop being so hard on yourself. So that was a good reminder that maybe I should, because if a friend told me that, just like she told me that, I would say the same thing to my friend. But look at what you did do. And I'm sure you deserved some rest too, right? So reminding ourselves to treat ourselves like we would treat a friend. Stepping out of our comfort zone. Ed Milet has a whole podcast on this. I will post that in the comments as well. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget to do that. And he just really talks about how when we're in this comfortable zone that we really are hurting ourselves, that it causes more pain. And I can't attest to that enough. I worked a lot of years in a hospital setting, and then I had a lot of patients that didn't want to change what they were doing in their health even, and it led to their demise, really. And because they were comfortable with where they were comfortable, but it actually caused physical harm to their health, right? And I think we can do that in a lot of areas in our life, whether it's our physical health, whether it's our mental health, whether it's in our relationships, our business, And so just really realizing that you need to push yourself to find new activities that are challenging to you, find a new hobby, take on a project that you're going to have to push yourself to get accomplished, to get done, right? And yeah, and it doesn't always have to be something super physical. I know a lot of times we think physical, like a new gym or sign up for a triathlon or something and make that the goal, right? And I think those are wonderful because I like fitness. I'm a PT. I'm into movement. But we also can do other things to challenge, like a hobby. Maybe it's taking up crochet. You can learn to crochet by watching YouTube, y'all. Maybe it's challenging yourself with a new, more difficult puzzle or something, but pushing yourself in that way. Acknowledging the process and acknowledging your feelings. And this can come down with journaling and prayer and our positive affirmations, I think, are important with this, and keeping a balanced perspective. So reminding ourselves of the bigger picture. So again, this comes down to, well, that one person signed up with so-and-so and not me, and my business is doomed and I'm never going to be a diamond now. No, that's not true. Your business is not that's one person. Your one person does not make or break your business. You can still be successful. Like, how many mistakes I've made in this business, and I'm still successful, and I'm still continuing to be successful, right? Self-care. So I think a lot of times we think self-care, I need to go get a massage and get my nails done. And if that is very important to you and that is super relaxing to you, please do them. But it also comes down to sleeping properly. Jackie and I used to send each other text messages, and at, midnight and was like kettle black, like, because we're like, why are you up? I don't know. Why are you up? I'm working. Why are you working? It's midnight. I know. And we're like, we need to go to bed. Yeah, so do you. Like, what? Like, so, sleep properly, eat properly, take your supplements, drink your water, move your body. That is self-care because we have to keep the engine running. Okay, this sweater's crazy. Okay. And then building meaningful connections, which I am so grateful that we have a ton of that with our team, with our downline, with our upline. So we have those here built into this business, and we want them outside of our businesses as well, our spouses, our children, family, things like that. So 3 principles that you can also do to help develop this mental toughness: pushing yourself physically. So specifically, because and when you push yourself physically, it's really pushing yourself mentally. I do a HIIT gym. So they set a timer, they tell me to start the exercise, they tell me to stop. So doing a plank, okay, I really want to quit now. This is getting hard. I'm shaking. Okay, but they didn't call the timer yet. Okay, we still have 30 more seconds. It's okay. Don't die. You're not going to die. Just keep going. But that mental toughness of holding that is translating to be mentally tough in the rest of my life too. So running a little bit. Maybe you like to walk. So maybe you start pushing yourself to walk a little faster to that tree up there. And then you're like, okay, I walked a little faster to this tree. I'm going to settle back into my pace. Okay, now I'm going to walk really fast to that mailbox. Or maybe you do some little running intervals, right? Maybe you walk backwards. Maybe you do some walking lunges during your walk. Do something that is not the norm and that is a little bit more difficult to push yourself. One more rep, one more round, right? At the gym, when we do lift, like weight stuff, and they say, okay, the timer's done. I've been trying to do one more rep anyway. Do another rep. It might be a little less rest for me, but it means I'm getting 2 more reps if it's 2 sets. I'm getting 3 more reps if it's 3 sets. Whatever it is, I'm going to push myself that one more, a little bit more. Ed Milet talks about this a lot with the power of one more. Taking the stairs and not the elevator, right? That's pretty simple. And ending your shower on cold, or you can be Jackie's like my star today, y'all. Jackie started ice bathing, and I'm like, how did you do that? And how do you feel? And how are you, like, okay, are you dead? No, you're not dead. Okay, good to know. And I hate the cold, and she hates the cold, and she and I on vacation are like, we're cold all the time. And so I'm so proud of her. So end your shower on cold if you're not ready to get in an ice bath. I liked this one. This one hit me hard, was don't hit the snooze button, because just not hitting the snooze button and getting up right away is a practice in mental toughness. And I'm like, okay, I can buy into that. And then rejecting convenience and ease, because this is going to allow us to get tougher, and continually lifting that standard for ourselves, right? Continuing to raise the standard for ourselves. So number 2, because I got to hustle here. Endurance. So endurance is the manifestation of pure mental toughness to go even when you want to rest, finish the project when self-doubt has crept in, and when you feel like abandoning it, and do it even in the midst of pain and discomfort. So that's endurance. I think endurance is like settling into a pace that you can do forever. And I have been corrected. So endurance is really this desire to say, okay, I know this is tough and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do it anyway. And here's the thing. You can have endurance and have mental toughness when you say, I am going to reach out to 5 new people every day and follow up with 3 or 5, right? And you just keep doing that, even when the kids are puking, even when you're tired, even when they spilled milk on the floor, even when you had a bad day at work, even when all these things happen, you're still going to do that one practice and push yourself. And then I messed up my notes, so it's okay. And then number 3 is just knowing that when you have success, to keep going in that success, to not settle in. We're still going. And frankly, even when we are diamond, that is not the end, because don't we want that for our friends? Like, we're going to want that for them. And so we have this opportunity to say, okay, now I get to help other people do this. And what has happened in some cases when people have success or companies have had success is that it goes down. Like Kodiak, when we were kids, unless you're really young on here, but most of us, when we were kids, Kodiak was everywhere. We all knew what Kodiak was. Kodiak, Kodiak, Kodiak. I haven't heard of Kodiak in years now because they didn't keep up with the times and they went under. And we read about that in one of our books, and Rochelle Furman, you presented it, so you'll remember which book it is, because I know you specifically talked about the Kodiak example, and you can probably put in the chat which book it was. And she might not be on, she was on a cruise. Anywho, it was in one of the books that we've done. And then Blockbuster, like Blockbuster used to be the thing. And I didn't know this until I read it last night, but Blockbuster was like Netflix approached Blockbuster and they were like, nope, we're good, Netflix. We like our brick and mortar and VHS tapes. And now look at Blockbuster and look at Netflix. So don't take your foot off the gas, because even when you've gotten to your goal, now you get to help others achieve theirs. And that's even more sweet. Okay, what I missed in how to increase your mental toughness, because my notes were kind of weird, were to set clear goals and to pursue them persistently, and breaking those large goals into smaller goals. Positive mindset. So this is where I say positive affirmations, renewing your mind, talking with the Lord every day, and learning from our failures. This book, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Oh my gosh, so good. I'm going to read one little thing if you guys have a couple, we have 3 minutes. So Eleanor Roosevelt observed, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you stop to look fear in the face. You're able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. You just must do it. Every time you take that responsibility, face your fear, and move forward despite experiencing losses, failures, mistakes, and disappointments, you become stronger. And if you keep doing these things, you ought to do when you ought to do them, the day will come when you get to do the things you want to do when you want to do them. So pushing through and keeping on going, right? This ability comes only if you take responsibility for becoming the person that God created you to be, not someone else. All right. So the other thing is that I wanted to remind everyone of is that we are created in his image, and we need to pour into knowing who we are in him. And then we can move forward with all of this. And he will give us the strength to be mentally tough. He will give us the strength to carry on. So keep that in mind. And then the other book that I wanted to bring up is the Building Bounce book. So that's another one to check out on getting over disappointments, getting over things, and moving forward. So Building Bounce, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. And thank you guys. I'll put that podcast link and the book in the comments.